Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Logan with West Desert Wheeler, and in this video we're going to be looking at a couple of competition runs that me and my friends put down together at Logandale in Nevada. And Logandale, Nevada has awesome red rock terrain that is super fun and very technical. We threw down some gates on just some of the few small obstacles here and there, but there is a whole mountain range of sandstone out there and so many lines to go explore. What we've got going on today are Class 2 style rigs. They don't follow the rules exactly, but they're pretty close, 4.75 tires. My truck is an SCX 10.2, and then Cameron, which you'll see in a second, has a Beetle, and his is on a G-Speed chassis. I believe he has the aluminum frame. And then we have Wyatt's truck, which is a purple-bodied Ford, and that is also a G-Speed, but I believe his is the V3 carbon chassis. So let's get out, take a look at just some fun on the rocks. Basically, I'm not counting backups or anything real technical, but we'll just add up how many gates each one of us hit and see who hit less gates in the end. Not that it matters, but here's some awesome footage of some cool trucks. Let's check it out. First up, we have Wyatt in his F100, her 1960 something Ford body. Oh, you know what? Might be a Chevy. I could have been wrong the whole time. Sorry about that, guys. As you can see, it's heavily modified to give it a little bit extra clearance, try and sit as low as possible on the chassis. Here, Wyatt's coming into gate number 1. I set the cones on this course, and I intentionally look at obstacles and say, how can I make this a real pain in the ass? And sometimes I'm pretty good at it. So we saw him jump through gate 2 right there. Gate number 3, exactly what I was talking about with how I set gates. Real diff hanger, trying to get through there. Your truck wants to slide off of that and go right down into the cone. He just squeaks by, getting pretty lucky there. Good driving there, Wyatt. This one is a vertical climb and a right-hand turn at the top. Start to run out of traction right near the top, but you can use that little ledge on the left side to kind of pull your whole truck up. As he turns a little bit driver, it pulls the whole rig up and over. Jumping on to gate 5, this is an ugly downhill ravine that I set the gates to where you had to kind of cross through. So his truck stays nice and planted, rear tire picking up just a little bit there. Squeaks by that lower cone with his front tire, and then he has to make a choice here. He can run over the cone or he can take a backup. Backups are always worth less than the cone. He got lucky, he jumped through and was actually able to carry a tire right over that gate, so I'm not going to give him a cone for that. This next gate, the obstacle just getting to the gate is tough. Getting through those loose rocks is never easy, and then it's a very sideways gate with a small ledge to hold on. And then you have to make a 90-degree passenger side corner there. Wyatt doing a great job swinging right around that corner, sticking onto that ledge. Really made that look easy, and it is not easy. Here we're coming up through 7. Now you had an option to turn driver and go do a loop and then drop down through 8. Wyatt decided to make it a fun challenge for himself and see if he could just go ahead, turn right, go from 7 directly into 8 and be the hero of the day. Unfortunately, his truck did not get that turn done in time, had to take a reverse and then hit the 8 cone and the arrow cone at the same time. Ended up on his side there, but with a little bit of driving on the side, he was able to recover his own rig, so no rollover points would have been added. This one, another gate that I set up just intentionally to be mean. It's going to drop you right onto the skid plate of your truck. He has to take a reverse there to try and reposition where he's going. It's going to totally change the direction the truck is facing. He kind of gets lucky here. The front end starts getting in a better direction, able to pull him through there. Now he's real sideways, getting real close to that number 9 cone. Rear tire starting to drop down. Truck staying settled. Front weight bias drops it down. And then his rear tire drops off that ledge, just clips that 9 cone, and I'm going to give him a gate for that. Coming up through number 10, here we go. I left this one kind of open. There were 2 different climbs up to gate 10, and basically it was a Y shape, so you'd have the arm of each Y, and then the gate would lead you out the only exit. And he decided to go up the, we'll call it the right-hand line, and really struggling here. Ended up upside down a few times, hitting the cone on the way up. Just couldn't quite make that corner. Intentionally, I made that one tricky, and there he goes out of gate 10. Great run there by Wyatt. There's a few things I think he may have done differently had he watched this and tried again. But that's why we're out there practicing, just to learn and get better at ourselves. All right, guys, up next is Cameron's G-Speed Beetle, which is a really cool rig. This is a hard body. Cameron custom built this, and I believe it's running a 12.8-inch wheelbase based on some element parts. Let's check this out. This rig has a revolver motor, so it makes plenty of noise out there on the trail. I believe he's running a Castle ESC, so squeaks and makes noises out there. Cameron's also running his own custom bumper here. This is a pretty close to spec Class 2 truck, I believe. I think this one's within the rules. Getting bellied out here, just trying to get up and over this ledge, and ends up with the back end swinging over that cone and just trying to get set back up with a small reverse, runs over the cone. Not a big deal there. Gate 1's pretty tricky. And I had to take a full reverse, and then finally comes up through 1 after he smashes both cones. So I will say this truck probably has the biggest struggle being a hard body rig. It's going to add more weight up top, but Cameron's a great builder and his truck does perform excellent despite him being the only hard body rig out of these 3 that we are running today. Got a sweet little cooler rack on the back of that thing. Instead of having an engine back there, he's got some cold ones he's going to save for later. So here we go up through this gate. Good climb. Drag the belly a little more just because he's got that slightly longer wheelbase. This is a fun gate, gets you all crossed up, it's tricky. Cruises through and just tags that gate with that rear tire on the way out. Navigating the loose terrain, doing great there. Some rocks moving right out from underneath him. Now he's trying to use a good trick right here of wiggling the servo, and I was encouraging him as well. He stops here for a second and I tell him to keep going. As soon as he touches the throttle, the front end slides right down, puts him where he needs to be. And now he's got to navigate this difficult turn onto this ledge. Now the slider of his car caught right there and it actually pivoted right around and that rear tire was able to slide, but it turned and got him wedged up in this little notch right there, and had to burn a couple reverses to try and escape that. Getting in a lot of a bind there, real tricky, but luckily he was able to get out of that, stay on the ledge and cruise out. Coming up the next gate, up 7. Getting a good close shot there. Now Cameron did not try and turn directly into 8. He went up and looped around, and here's the shot of him coming down 8. Getting a little wild there. Lost the cooler on the way out. Don't worry, we got that picked up and put back on the car. Heading over to gate number 8, which is going to set him down on a skid plate really hard because there's just nothing under the front tires right here. And I intentionally put those cones where they are for a reason, and that is because it would be very difficult to not hit them. Cameron coming through, hitting both cones just like he meant to. So here he goes. Now, Cameron's also going to take the right side up the gate 10 here, and the only reason I'm explaining all that is because I try the left side on my attempt. Coming up through 10, looks like it was nice and clean, just on the belly. Decides to take a reverse and just a little bit of a bump, and his truck cruised right on through. Great run there, Cameron. Awesome rig. Really one of the coolest trucks that I know of in my area, and that thing wheels really awesome. So really cool to see that Beetle out there on the rocks. All right, guys, finally it's my turn. I'm up on the rocks. I've got my Rock Pirates RC SCX 10.2 build, AR44 axles. Let's go check this thing out. SCX 10.2 C-channel chassis against these flat rail guys. We're gonna see how it stacks up. All right, thanks to Cameron for filming my run here. So the camera work might be a little bit different than my own, but cruising up through gate 1, I do not have bumpers on this truck. Like I said, my truck, some of these trucks aren't exactly to the rule Class 2 legal, but was able to squeeze through 1, no problem. 2, off-camber drop ledge, trying to stay as close as I can to the high side cone because I know that gravity is going to want to pull me down lower. Using all the 2100 kV I have in this truck to zip out of there. This one I slide off the middle of the truck. I just can't quite get my rear tires to go back uphill from where I'm lined up, and I end up tagging that cone on the way out. Here we go, climbing up gate number 4. Gonna go up, turn driver, hook my tire on that small ledge, and it pulls the truck right through. Now we're getting tangled up in gate 5. Now this one did not go well for me. I run a full droop suspension, which means that there are springs that actually pull the axle towards the chassis. So when I get the front end way down like this, the rear end likes to suck the rear axle way up into the air, and that's why my truck is not articulating here. It's because the springs are doing their job and they're pulling it back towards the truck. But sometimes in situations like this, it can really get messy. So now I ended up on the chassis of the truck because I don't have a bumper. Having to reverse through there, ended up clipping a cone, but was able to throttle out and get out of there. Now I'm navigating the loose rocks through gate number 6, it looks like. Real sideways through this one. I threw these cones down, we'd never run these before, so it turns out that they were actually possible, which I'm pretty impressed that all 3 of our trucks were able to side hill right there. Now, unfortunately, my sliders grabbed onto that rock at the wrong point and pivoted my truck around, and my rear tire clipped it. And then I also got tangled up in the rock, just like Cameron did. So wiggling my steering, couldn't quite get out of there, decided to take a back up, and my tires start coming off the ledge, so I turn driver, commit, give it a little throttle, and get out of there. Coming up through gate number 7, I'm gonna go ahead and take the loop route, go up through there, spin around, and then I decided just for fun to try and back down gate number 8, and was able to keep the truck nice and stable on the way through with that reverse. Not completely necessary, but always fun to practice. It's pretty amazing what those trucks will do in reverse. Drop it in gate 9, flat onto my skid. Unfortunately, that rear tire tags the cone there, so I definitely got the gate. But if it just had stopped a centimeter away from that cone, I could have got that nice and clean. I'm still happy with the line I chose. Unfortunately, that rear tire just bumped over. Now I'm trying the left line up to gate number 10, like I described earlier. Front tires just unable to grab on and pull the whole truck up. I had ledges on the front tires and the rear tires at the same time, double face is what they call that, and just unable to get it to go up. So after some more trying, I cut that out of the video. Here we go, up the right-hand side, cruised up through, able to keep the belly off the rocks, and here we go out the top. All right, guys, after round 1, it looks like Wyatt ended up clipping 4 gates. Cameron got through 5 gates, and I hit 4 gates as well. So me and Wyatt are tied. We're ahead of Cameron by 1. Let's see what round 2 brings us. This one was set up by Wyatt, and Wyatt is kind of known to throw down some crazy gates, but this terrain is so fun. He actually got a really good course set up here. So it's a ton of fun. Let's check out these runs. Now, Wyatt had run my course first, so I'm going to run his course first. This first gate set up in a notch with loose rocks at the bottom to try and climb up on top of. This is very difficult, and what I ended up having to do was get my passenger front to hook on the inside of that rock face to not let the truck fall off the passenger side. But when watching the video, I was also realizing I was really fighting on sliding that rock slider through there and kind of wiggling my way through. Once I did that, the truck popped right on up and out of there clean on gate number 1. Here comes gate number 2, another V-notch that you got to get your front tire hooked over the top, and it's a little bit off camber, a little bit weird. Luckily, with the small body on my power wagon, I'm able to power through. Swing around, come uphill on this loose terrain, trying to get up gate number 3. This is extremely steep. This is as steep as my truck can handle. In fact, it's steeper than my truck can handle because I was unable to get up 3. You can see there, I tagged the cone, but unfortunately, I did hit the cone there. Now coming through gate 4, this is set up as a gate 4 and or bonus 4. So I went for the bonus line here, backing down into this line, trying to drop right between the cones, which ends up putting you in this cool rock formation, able to get the rear end down and then swing the front end around, wiggle my steering just a little bit, and then power through turning full passenger and then give it some throttle out of there. Ended up taking a tumble, but I ended up back on my tires, running right between Wyatt's legs there, pop out of there, shoot up the next gate, gate number 5. Luckily my truck has pretty good belly clearance, which this one, you're gonna need every ounce of belly clearance on this for sure. Just able to squeeze past that cone. Here we go into this crack, and instead of trying to straddle this one, it was real ugly. I decided to try and jump through gate 6, which did not end well for me. Ended up upside down, all sorts of tangled up in there, and I don't recommend that line compared to what some of the others I saw. After that, another V-notch, got a nice smooth wall on the passenger side, and then just kind of a rounded off formation on the driver's side. I was unable to get my passenger rear up on the wall and get the truck balanced, so it just kept trying to stand up straight and wave that driver tire around in the air. So a little bit of servo wiggling there to break the traction and let that front end fall back down, and then I just scrubbed that passenger tire all the way through this canyon. Luckily the gate was set just wide enough that my rear end was just able to get through, getting a little caught up on the front tire there, working my way through, and finally able to get through there, but it was definitely tough. It was a real struggle. Not my cleanest line of driving, but it's what happens in the competitions. That's why we're out here having fun and practicing. Trying to get up gate number 8. Luckily my front tire grabbed there, got my truck just centered between those gates. Now I just gotta drag the rear through, and then followed that by a close number 9. This is a cool one. Get your tire way up on the side hill here, coming through really sideways, but you got that nice ledge to hold your truck in place. and it also helps you make the rotation of this corner right around. Taking my time, going slow, and I just squeak through. Got a nice little formation here. Climb up to the top where Wyatt had set a gate up on top of basically a pile of boulders, and getting up into these boulders turned out to be really difficult. The first run up through here, I think I moved some terrain on those rear tires because there's a bonus out to the right, and I decided to go for the bonus, and on my second time in here, it was very difficult to climb up. So here we go. I already know what I need to do. I need to get up here and get balanced, and then I also want to turn driver to get the rear passenger to dip in this ravine so that rear passenger dips and I can swing it right around passenger. I'm realizing here that I'm not lined up well for that, so I have to go ahead and take the reverse to get that rear tire to pop off the wall. I'm going to drive up into the corner, full passenger, just miss the cone, get balanced again, and I'm able to drop down into this pile of boulders. It was a real fight to get out of those boulders. I cut the footage out just because it takes a long time, but all three of us end up getting out of there, but it was not easy. Here I go again, up the same climb from a different angle, not working out so well. Finally able to get that tire up there. This is after like 3 attempts and a few backups. Finally able to get that front end high enough and some throttle to get that truck to hook and pull itself up in here again. Now this time I'm going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to get balanced in here, and then I'm going to try and dip the rear driver tire so that I can go full driver and swing it up into this V-notch wall into another notch. So definitely a really cool formation here, unlike anything else I've driven, but really fun. You can see me here just trying to keep this front end down as much as possible, using the roof for traction here. And now I'm going to get this front end as far in as I can before I go full driver. It looks like I'm going to roll my truck right over, but it's got nowhere to go but back onto its tires. Flops down, got the good center of gravity, got my front tires hooked through the gate, pull the rears up through, and that is my run on a clean gate number 10. All right, guys, here comes Cameron's bug coming up through gate 1. Cameron really struggled here, but it's because of the loose terrain. I think there's a few times he ended up just hung up on his rear diff there. Unfortunately, that will put a stop to any forward movement. So he ended up having to take a couple backups, couple line resets, but that's all right. Ended up getting his front end nice and high right here and then washing that front end down, just avoiding his differential, giving it throttle at just the right time, staying that front tire hooked on the inside of that rock face to keep the truck balanced. Pops right up, stays balanced, looks good. Very nice driving there, Cameron. Coming up through gate 2, this one he gets real sideways through, but he's got that Beetle body, so it's a little more rounded, so it doesn't really interfere with his line choice here so much. There we go, getting it turned up through gate number 2, dropping down in there. Okay, he had to take a reset. A little more balance this time, less sideways, but you got to watch on that passenger front tire. It's got that overhang, and your tire can get trapped in there real easy. Using some steering to wiggle through. Gets up through there, truck's up on its side, and is just able to squeeze through gate number 2 nice and clean. Takes a little tumble there, and then gets full turtled where he had to take his hand and replace his truck back onto its tires. So that's all good. That would be counted as a rollover in a Sorka competition. Here we are working our way up to gate number 3. Again, this is really steep, but Cameron's bug is a little bit longer, so we'll see if that makes a difference here for him. Loose terrain, really hard to get your front tires up onto this gate, but unfortunately with the line he took, he just barely touches this cone, but he did touch it, and I told him I'm going to have to give you a gate on that one. So Cameron got the gate on gate number 3. And he also knocked off the lower side cone. Taking a couple of tries here, I don't believe Cam is actually able to get up on top of this obstacle, at least not clean. So there he goes, fronts are hooked, but now his rock sliders are holding him up, and his Beetle takes a roll right here. Here Cam goes down the standard gate 4 between the green cone and the bonus cone is the standard 4. Comes down, his bumper catches this rock, and as he's giving it throttle and trying to back out of this situation, things just keep getting worse, and the bug starts sliding downhill, sideways, bumper hard into the rock. Not a whole lot he can do here. And as he was throttling through, we heard a really loud click, and he decided to go ahead and inspect his car, see if we broke an axle in half, because that's kind of what we expected. But I think a piece of the body ended up caught on some rock or something and broke loose, and made a pretty ugly sound. So taking a look at his car there, no big deal, everything turned out fine. Going ahead and finished out the course by setting his truck back down, so we're going to give him gate number 4. There we go, squeezing up through 5. Now this was a great line. This was way better than my line choice. Don't pay any attention to what I do. This is how you get through this gate. Drive in there nice and sideways, get your front tires to hook and pull you through, pulls that front end right up and out of this crack, floating a tire pretty good, staying balanced, not letting it tip over, nice and clean through that. Awesome driving there. Here we go, staying balanced. He did a better job of getting his rear passenger up on the wall. Again, nice and clean, made it look easy, cruised through that gate, no big deal. Working our way over to number 8. Number 8 it actually was harder than it looked. I got lucky that my front tire, I like that little save there with turning the servo. I got lucky that my front tire actually grabbed and pulled me up, which is funny because we're running the exact same tires. But for whatever reason, as it comes up, it just washes over and just touches that cone. Just barely got it there. Trying to give it some throttle to get this thing up. There it goes. A little bit skid plated out. Finally get through number 8, and now through the sideways number 9. Really cool looking gate, getting nice and sideways, got that ledge to hold them up there. Nice close shot of the drivetrain, and just clips 9 with the way the rear tires spun around that ledge. Here Cam goes, getting up into the climb to go towards the bonus gate near 10. So he's got to go up here and take a 90-degree passenger turn. He falls off, ends up on a skid plate, gets his tire trapped down in here, and things just, it's a real battle from here. Once you lose your balance in here and you're out of control like this, it's not good. But I will say that servo is incredibly strong. I believe it's a Shift RC direct power servo is what that was, moving that whole bug when the front end was trapped down in that ledge there. So finally able to recover his car by getting reversed out of here, which this little ravine here traps you in. You can see that ledge on his back driver there. When you're trying to reverse out of that, that holds your car in there and it won't let you back up. So it was a real fight. So now he's just trying to get to the standard gate 10. Rock slider pivots him around and he ends up clipping that bonus cone. Just unable to get that turn where he was trying to get it to go. Gonna go ahead and try and back up gate number 10. Unfortunately, the rear end unloads and starts going over the front. Finally, the rear end settles there, trying to drive back up there. Driver, center of gravity throws him off the edge of the rock, and that's going to close things out for Cameron's run because he just didn't want to break his vehicle. All right, guys, here comes Wyatt in his Chevrolet, not Ford, and no grill left, no headlights left, working his way up through gate number 1. Wyatt runs the softest foams out of anybody I know. They're single stage, the tires roll over on themselves all the time. But somehow he pulls off the craziest lines. I don't get it. But the kid can drive, that's for sure. So trying to use his servo here to settle his front end back down, get this truck nice and stable. Has to take a couple reverses, but it's smart to do that instead of rolling your truck all the way over. Getting balanced, those tires are grabbing on. Got lots of miles on them. You can see they're all rounded over. Hung up on a skid plate just a little bit, but his truck travels straight forward and allows him out of here. Wyatt comes in here a little bit sideways. Luckily his truck is flat like a pancake and can fit through that crack sideways. Pops up and out nice and clean, no drama here. Now gate number 3, this has stopped me and Cameron from forward progress. You can see the tires are nice and soft, getting a good hook up there. Rolling over, Wyatt takes a reverse to get things lined back up again. You can see the tires spinning in the back because of the loose terrain, the sand and the little pebbles behind it. Once he gets that tire hooked up top there, tires in the air, both tires in the air. This thing's about to roll over backwards, takes another reverse. He's just trying to get these tires to hook and pull him over. I'm not sure how much overdrive he's got. A little bit of momentum, shoots up it, got his front end up, but because of his super soft tires, the tires start rolling over on themselves. It looks like he's gonna fall off of this ledge. I'm warning him to just turn passenger and floor it and send it off the ledge. And here he goes, was able to do that. Coming down through bonus gate that I backed through, he tries to drive forward, rolls off the front bumper, ends up backwards on his tires and just backs out of there like nothing ever happened. Going up through gate number 5, this one is where you needed that belly clearance. Wyatt's truck is probably the lowest out of all 3 of these trucks, which helps in certain situations, but in this situation he ends up on this round pointed rock and just working his truck all around. It's basically like putting a ball right under the middle of the truck and it just wobbles all around. And he's trying to get through this gate clean. He's picking up a couple reverses here, which is never great. But I think ultimately he probably should have just tried to go a little bit closer to that 5 cone. That might have helped. I'm giving him the cone on that because in real life I saw it move and I still believe that it did. So I'm giving him the cone on that one. Here we go, up through 6. Although Wyatt thinks he cleans the course. Up through 6. Same line as Cameron, very well done. Gate number 7, same thing, nice and balanced. Got that rear passenger up on the wall, nice and clean. Up through 8, the soft tire is able to just grab on and pull them up. Ends up bellied out here, a little bit of tire spin, but truck works its way through. Going through gate 9, nice and sideways. Now notice there's a little twig right under his tire, and then that's also under the cone. So you see the cone move, but it's because that twig is under there, which I had to be sure I gave him a hard time for as he was driving through when we were out there driving. There we go. Gets the front end up, gets in there, trying to get the front tires to climb, get balanced. But with those ledges and whatnot, without the width, it's hard to get up there nice and clean. His is probably the narrowest truck out of all 3 as well. A little bit of servo wiggling, always a great way to break the friction to let the truck through. Gets the slider underneath that ledge and it lets this truck just pivot right around. Got these bonus cones here. Gets through clean on the front end. And he's going to drop off into the rock pile and just gets those rears to dance right through. Not a problem. Wyatt was also able to wiggle his way out of that rock pile, but again, took a long time, so I just cut it from the video. Lots of reverses and whatnot. Gets this climb again, gets balanced up in here again. This time we're going out the driver's side. Here he goes. Nailed it. Perfect line. Gets up through there. The body's holding him up just a little bit, and here he is, nice and clean. Great run there, Wyatt. Good driving, dude. Well, as we tally things up, let's see how the scores stacked up. So after looking at the scores, Cameron did not attempt either of the 2 bonuses, or at least he didn't go through them in the run. So we're not giving Cameron bonus points on there, and he ended up picking up 4 gates on his run. Real technical course. His truck's really sweet. Good driving, good practice. Great work there, Cameron. So that puts me and Wyatt ahead. So now it's down to me and Wyatt, see who hit more gates. Both me and Wyatt cleaned both of the bonuses, so that pretty much zeroes our scores out there. I ended up hitting 2 gates on my run through, and Wyatt, according to me, he hit 1. According to him, he cleaned the course, and I've sent him videos back and forth, but he did end up winning regardless. So great driving there, dude. Really good, really clean run on that last course. That was a really tricky one, but your little G-Speed put in some work with that ugly ass Chevy purple body that you hacked up on top of it. No, dude, really good job. Lots of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. Be sure to drop a comment down below. Subscribe while you're here, and let me know if you guys like this style of video. This is all just for fun out here in Logandale, Nevada. Be sure to hit the affiliate links down below. They will help me out. Follow me on Instagram, West Desert Wheeler, and we will see you guys in the next one. Keep the rubber side down.